What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, as far as the market's going, as you guys could tell, SPY is trying to make a higher low here. If this low fails us, we could be revisiting the 555 area. But if we hold this, we could try to see some kind of rebound. For the shorter term, I do think the moves are not going to be that crazy. Like we might see some kind of pullback move back down towards 560, kind of like a bounce back up and just kind of consolidate for now. But then Jerome Powell is going to either launch us much higher or we might get a big dump depending on FOMC. But for now, I do see some consolidation that's coming. Now, to start things off, I just want to remind you all that today at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Fed interest rate decision coming out. We know there's almost a 100% chance they're going to keep rates the same, so I think they will be doing that amidst the uncertainty about the tariffs and such. And then we also have the FOMC economic projections report at 2 p.m. So we're going to be listening to see what the Fed says about rates basically 1 or 2 years out. So just listen to that very carefully. Then 2:30 p.m. we have the Fed press conference. That's when Jerome Powell will be opening his mouth. When the guy speaks, we know the market likes to move like crazy. But keep that in mind. That's going to be very important for us. Three main catalysts, especially Jerome Powell's speech. The volatility will start then at 2 p.m. So until then, we're just going to be chilling. We're just going to be waiting to see what else is coming. For earnings, this is all we're seeing for now. Nothing too significant. I will talk about some earnings tomorrow, possibly if we have like Nike and FedEx. But this is what the calendar looks like. Nothing too crazy for today. And then on top of this, we have some news that we have Zelensky, who was saying that he wants to meet up with Trump, or at least speak to Trump today, and eventually meet up again later. He wants to meet up with Trump in the future and then speak with him today amidst the ceasefire talks. If more progress is made, that's great. It's great to see that these leaders are trying to talk it through, trying to negotiate for peace because that's what we want. But it's all talk right now, and we have to wait and see if there's a ceasefire deal. Action speaks louder than words. So we'll see how long it takes, and if that ends up happening, that could be another big catalyst for the markets. Anyways, moving forward, the market saw a bit of a sell off yesterday. We're going to see if we can make a small recovery move today. This is start things off, but whether we see a much larger pump or dump is going to depend on FOMC. Then we have some news about how we have Jensen Huang, Nvidia CEO, announcing the company's new AI chips. They debuted the Blackwell Ultra chip and its next generation GPUs. That's big news. They're actually very, very good at that. Their GPUs are very, very powerful, and this was great news so far. We kind of saw the share price sell off a bit, only to get bought back up today. Once again, ceasefire talks continue, and then I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy on the news until we have FOMC. So that's going to be the next thing that's coming out. We'll see what Jerome Powell ends up saying. So be very, very patient and open-minded for that. Anyways, as far as SPY goes, okay, we have a potential inverse head and shoulders like pattern. There's no guarantees yet, though. When we open, might not see much to start things off. We might just be in a range. And then once we get the FOMC economic projections and then Jerome Powell speaks, if we break past the 570 area, we could be forming a nice inverse head and shoulders to break out higher, especially as we have a gap to fill around that 575 area. If not, if Jerome Powell keeps us the rug pull, we can also turn back down. If 555 fails us, there's going to be a risk of us dipping towards these lows, if not to make new lows into like the 540s. So it all depends on what Jerome Powell says, how well the market holds up, and what is announced by the Fed. Will we see a fake upside move? Will we see a dump? It all depends. So for now, just hold your horses, guys, and just be prepared for some sideways volatility, not really a whole lot. And we just have to be patient until then. So just keep that in mind, guys. If we lose 555, it's going to be a bad sign for SPY. If we break past 565, we can try to push higher. I think we just kind of stay in the middle for now, and then we'll see what FOMC causes. For the QQQ, I do want to mention that there is this gap down here on the 470 area. If 474 fails us, then yes, we could be doing that gap fill. I'm looking for a move like this where we kind of consolidate between 477 and 474 for now. If we don't hold 474, there could be a downside move to fill that gap around 470. And then we'll see. Do we fail at 470? If we do, Jerome Powell could cause us to dump, or do we see a big pump? We'll just have to wait and see. So keep that in mind. For the Russell 2000, we're kind of flat right now. We're going to be looking for the 203 areas our supports. We have a gap to fill back up around 205. So I'm going to be watching that very closely just to kind of see what the move looks like. So just keep that in mind. And for now, I think that there's a good chance that we try to eventually hit our targets. But in my view, we might be just seeing a lot of sideways price action as well. We do have that gap to fill, so there's a good chance we try to fill that gap first. But like I said before, be very very patient, and we'll see how it goes for the time being. So keep that in mind. Anyways, looking at many others, we're going to be looking at ES. So ES is very much just consolidating. We have 5680 is a very very key level. If we could break that 5700 is going to be coming next. And then if we get some kind of rejection move, then we could be essentially turning back down, right? So in my opinion, I think we're just kind of choppy for now. Could this be like a head and shoulders? Maybe, but anything is possible, right? You can't just solely trade based off patterns. Might consolidate a bit here. We could even sell off a little bit. If we can't hold above 5,700, we might just kind of consolidate and come back down just a bit. But then after that, we'll see if we fill this imbalance. Will Jerome Powell launch us back up above 57.20, or do we end up losing 56.50 to start dumping? So we'll just have to see just to be safe. So watch those levels very closely. For NQ, NQ has potential double bottom like structure, but it depends. So we have 19,800 as our resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for basically 19,963. Break that, then this is going to be pumping a lot more, especially as we have this inverse head and shoulders right here. However, if we end up losing support, if we end up losing the support right here around the 19,600 area, we could be dipping back down towards this blue trend line, all the way down to about 19,400. So it could go either way. I anticipate that we just kind of chop around here first, just like what we're doing in the pre-markets. Then we'll see, do we see a big pump like this to recover, or do we dump? We'll be very, very patient nonetheless. For Bitcoin, we're trying to ride this trend line back up. I want to see if we can reclaim 85,000 to bounce. If we reject and lose 82,250, we could turn back down. We're kind of stuck in between, so give it some time. For Nvidia, Nvidia has a nice inverse head and shoulders right here. If we get back above this 117 area, 117.77, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to the 120s. If we end up losing essentially this 114 zone, we could be dipping. With this inverse head and shoulders, I think there's a good chance we test 117, and we'll see if we break through that to push more. So give it some time. So be very patient nonetheless, and we'll see how this ends up going. For Tesla, it's trying to bounce a bit. I want to see it get back above 233 to 237. We might test 233 to 237. We'll see if we reject again to get back down to like 225. It's just sideways consolidation, right? We kind of push higher here, dip back down, kind of consolidate a bit. And then Jerome Powell either launches us up or down, but otherwise I just see it pushing a bit to 233 and coming back down for now. For Apple, we're just consolidating as well. I want to see us break 215 to really start pushing. Might consolidate near where we are first before we get a big move. Coin is kind of weak. It's in the middle actually. If we get back above like 185, we're looking for a pump for 189. We have a gap to fill back down around 180, so we'll just have to see how this goes. And then as we're making higher lows, I think we're doing a good job. So we'll see if we could break out a little higher for 185. So look for a little bit of a push here, and we'll see what the reaction is. For Amazon, we could be trying to push back up towards 195, and we'll see what the reaction happens to be here. So give this some time, especially as time goes on. For Meta, we have a bullish divergence. We may slowly push for 590 then 597. Might see a small push, and we'll see what the reaction is from here moving forward. For Microsoft, if we end up losing 380, we could be dipping, and if we break past 385, we could be trying to push higher. I just think we consolidate here, and we'll see what the reaction happens to be. For Google, I think that if we try to hold above 163.8, we could try to push for 165. If we end up losing 162, we could be dipping. We're kind of stuck in the middle, but I think for the time being, this is going to try to rebound at least just a bit. So if anything, I think we're making lower highs on Google, which is not a good sign. However, there might be a small push right here. There might be a small push for like the 164s before it turns back down. The VIX is also consolidating. Will we end up breaking past 22.5 to be bullish? Will that cause the market to reject? Or do we end up seeing the opposite? Do we end up projecting back down as a result of the market pushing? It could go either way. So my consensus is that we're going to see a lot of sideways price action, range bound price action for now. I do not expect way too much yet. Until 2 p.m., that's when things get very, very crazy once the economic projections report comes out, etc. So get ready, guys. Do what you have to do. And I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day and peace out.